Yo, what's good, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Zatima overview. This is for episodes 9 and 10, which we have reached the season finale of season 1 of Zatima. And I must say, the show was pretty good. I had a few questions that were sent to me, and I'm going to try my best to answer as many as I can because there were quite a few. One of the questions was, well, this is your first time coming to my channel. Welcome. If you are a returning family member, you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment if you choose to. If not, just sit back and relax. We're going to get into it. One of the questions was, do I prefer sisters over Zatima or vice versa? Actually, what I will go on record to say is that I enjoyed Zatima more than sisters for these reasons. One, I enjoyed the pace of Zatima. I enjoyed the fact that we didn't have to wait 3 to 4 episodes to get to a point or to get to a certain conclusion. I really love that. And even though Zatima did have its moments, it wasn't aggravating to the point of the repetitiveness of dialogue. Even though there was a scene that I'm going to talk about that really aggravated me, but it wasn't as consistent as Sisters. So, I'm going to say I enjoy Zatima more than I enjoy Sisters. And that's just real talk, just being honest. And so just to get into it, I'm going to start out with the whole scenario. I'm not going scene by scene. These are overviews. So Bryce and Zach. One of the questions that I received was, do I agree with Zach punching Bryce after he kissed or attempted to kiss him? Absolutely. And I'm normally not a violent person. My first response is normally not to resort to violence. However, I understood Zach in that moment because I too have had a moment like this. I was in college. I went to went to Florida A&M University, go Rattlers. And it was my sophomore year in college, and I was in my psychology class, and it was a lecture class. So it's a whole lot of students, maybe like 60 of us in this class. And the young lady that I sat next to, she was a lesbian, which was perfectly fine. She had already attempted to try to talk to me at a gas station. We knew who each other, was or whatever, and I wasn't interested. I just, that ain't my cup of tea. And so we sit next to each other in class, and this particular day I wore a skirt. So I'm like 19, 20 at this time, and the teacher is lecturing, in the midst, and this girl proceeded to grab a handful of my thigh. And I was so taken aback and I was so caught off guard. My first response was to swing. And I showed my natural ass in that classroom. My teacher had to cancel class. I gave them people a show. I said every cuss word in the book. It was just a point of, and something that Zach talked about, is that being violated. Like, that was, you don't have a right to touch me. I haven't given you consent, permission, and I've already told you I'm not interested in you. And you took it upon yourself to do what you wanted to do to me without my consent. So with Zach, and I want it to be clear, Zach did not put hands on Bryce because of Bryce's sexual orientation or his preference. He violated Zach. He did something that Zach did not give him consent to do. Zach was already told him, hey, I don't swing that way. I'm not bisexual. I'm into women. And Bryce attempted to kiss him anyway. He needed his ass beat. Like I said, I normally don't resort to that, but at the same time, don't do that. Just don't do that. Now, what did disturb me is Fatima's response. I was shocked that she found it humorous. I was actually shocked that that is the direction that Tyler took that. Simply because if the shoe was on the other foot, if that happened to Fatima, if Ian just kissed her out of the blue, or if Deja kissed her out of the blue, she would want to put hands on Deja. But with Zach, she found it funny. Even after Zach told her that it was triggering, she told him that he needed to calm down. And I felt like in that moment, even though it was disturbing, I felt it was a real thing, because I feel like in situations like this, men, their feelings are not normally, to me, valued in the same way a woman's feelings would be if someone did that to us. I didn't like that because I felt like the message could have been loud and clear about, hey, everybody's feelings should be valid, should be considered if someone does something to you in a sexual manner that you haven't given consent to. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I felt about that. So I was very, I was just really shocked because I felt like if it happened to Fatima, she would want Zach to be considerate of her feelings and how she felt. That's just how I feel about that. But we gonna move right along. So we see Lori, who we haven't seen since the first episode, and she ended up, which is Nathan's wife. She tracked his phone, which led her to Zach's place. So we know that Nathan's trifling ass is in the house with Deja. They about to get it in. Okay, Lori is fed up. Lori has her bat. She going off on Fatima like she thinking Fatima is the woman that Nathan is having sex with. So she's in her feelings. And her and Fatima going back and forth with the bees and all this stuff like that, just acting a ghetto hot mess. And Fatima, I said, "Oh, Fatima, I'm gonna need you to mind your words, ma'am." Fatima tells her that if she got to do all this with her man, then she probably needs to leave him. I said, "You gonna take your own advice?" Because we know all the things you've done based on Zach. Did she not have a bat at Hayden's house? Did she not have a bat to Hayden's car? Did she not jack up his car because she thought, like, baby girl, I'm gonna need you to fall back because the same advice you gave Lori, you might want to take it for yourself. But anywho, so she goes in. Zach is trying to make peace out of everything. And, we find out that Zach is trying to cover up because he sees Nathan out in the jacuzzi with Deja. And Fatima sees it. Fatima goes out there. Now, this is the thing I do not like about Fatima. And I've said this countless of times before. Not that I want somebody to beat Fatima ass, but I really love the fact that Lori was going toe to toe with her because it seems like every woman, every situation, everybody just scared of Fatima. And I'm just like, in what world? It's not realistic. Number one, she went out there. I could understand her not liking Deja, especially after Deja is trying to get with Zach, especially after she unhooked the battery of her car so that Zach could help her with her, transportation or whatever. Deja is going through extreme situations to try to get Zach's guard down so that she could possibly have sex with him. And I wasn't here for her putting hands on Deja. You may not like her, but I don't think she's done anything that warranted for Fatima to punch her. I'm like, you know what? Somebody, I do not condone violence. But I think Fatima just need to get done one good time because baby girl just love putting her hands on people. And I just don't see that being realistic. Like, you assault people and you're trying to be like, come on, Tyler. But anyway, I do agree with Fatima in the sense of Lori needed to find out what was going on. And she did what she had to do, had Lori go around the back. She proceeded to slap Nathan. I don't think she should have put hands on Nathan either, but I can't really say I'm mad at her. So when Nathan opens the gate, Lori breaks his nose with the bat. I don't care. I'm okay with that because Nathan is grimy. Nathan is foul as hell. He just doesn't need to be married. And it's interesting because if you go back and you look at the episodes, Nathan, Zach, as well as Tony, has tried to make it seem as if Lori is the issue. Lori is the problem. Lori is a nagging wife. And based on what I've seen, it appears to me that Lori is a loving wife who loves her husband and is just tired of him playing around on her and cheating on her. Like, that's how I feel about it. And I'm just like, people always a lot of men try to paint women at, being this picture of they're just unhappy and not because of what you actually are putting this woman through. And sometimes it's vice versa as well. But in this case, Nathan is the problem on many situations. And so Zach isn't feeling that. He tells Fatima that she was wrong for what she did. And Fatima kind of feels like, wait a minute, do y'all like cover for each other? A lot of men do. And he was like, no, I'm assuming before Fatima became a part of Zach's life, I'm sure they did cover for each other. I'm definitely sure about that. Just the way that Zach was handling that situation, I'm sure they were. But I also agree with the fact that he called Fatima out because he was like, you should have this same energy when it comes to your friend. Now, this brings me to the scene that aggravated the hell out of me. Fatima and Angela. So Fatima did not tell Angela about Bryce, and this was another question that I got. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the questions in front of me. Basically, this person asked me, do I feel like Fatima was wrong for not telling Angela about Bryce, even though she would have been, what's the word they use? Even though she would have been outing him. That's what it was. And in my personal opinion, I don't think Fatima was going to be the person outing Bryce. If my friend, and there I have a close situation like this, if my friend was dating someone who I knew was bisexual and my friend didn't know, it's not the fact that I'm going to out him to her. Hey, this is what I've heard. You might want to ask him about his sexual preferences just so that there can be honesty amongst you guys. Just ask him about it. So with Angela and Fatima, the fact that Fatima knew that Bryce tried to kiss Zach, she just kept telling Angela, you need to talk to him. Why? Tell me what's going on. Just talk to your man. Why, Fatima? Tell me. Just talk to your man. I said, if one of y'all don't just say, they kept going. I said, this is Tyler. This back and forth. That scene aggravated me. Like, it really aggravated me. I just felt like, just tell her. Well, according to Zach, Bryce attempted to kiss him. You might want to ask him about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just one of those friends, and don't get me wrong, everybody is different. But I am one of those friends. If I know, my friend's going to know. If I saw, my friend's going to know. If he try me, my friend is going to know. I'm not the one that's going to keep it a secret. I'm not the one that's not going to say anything. I'm not fashioned in that way. I'm just not one that's going to keep a secret like that. My friend is going to know. They could be mad at me, whatever. If it costs us our friendship, so be it. At least you know I was honest and open with you, and you do with that information as you will. Believe me or not believe me, but at least it's out there. That's just me. That's just me. So we find that Zach and Fatima get engaged. Not a fan. Whatever. So and it's like the next scene, they're in the car, and he tells her that, she makes it easy to love her. And she was like, oh, you don't. I said, well, damn. I appreciate the honesty, but my God, that's why I say they don't need to be engaged. And I know some people were like, well, just because they're engaged, it doesn't mean they're going to get married the next day or the next month. And I get that. I get that. But what's the purpose of getting engaged? And it's like, oh, well, we're engaged, but it's not that deep. Because that's how I feel. It's almost like, well, what the hell y'all engaged for then? If it's not the fact, we can call off an engagement. And Fatima actually said that to Angela, like, if it gets crazy, I'll just call it off. Then why say yes? Just say, babe, we need to work on some stuff before we even get to this point. It's a lot of things going on in the midst, and we just need to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, before we get engaged. But that's neither here nor there. So we get to the end. Well, I guess Zach has like a moment with Tony, and about them needing to grow up, and just things of that nature. He's not the same person, and so on and so forth. And I just don't know. Maybe if Tony and Nathan actually had more, if we had more of a stake with them, and we actually knew some things about them, maybe. But I don't care for them at all. I don't care that they're his friends. They don't really make a big difference to me, whether they're on the show or whether we see them or not. They just don't really bring anything to the table, in my personal opinion. So at the end, we come to find these paternity results, and we find out that Zach is the father of Heather's son. Now let me say this, because this is the question I got the most. People were like, I don't believe it. I think Hayden is behind it. I think Hayden did something. And I'm just like, what the hell? First of all, Hayden doesn't even know about this particular test. Heather doesn't even know about this particular test because Fatima got the DNA got the DNA from the baby without Heather knowing about it or Heather giving consent. Fatima did this. Only people that know is Fatima and Zach and whoever this lab person is that has been communicating with Fatima about the test. No one else knows. So I'm like, first, just accept the fact that this child is Zach's. It is what it is. I don't think Hayden had anything to do with it. It's a 99.9% chance that he is the father. And that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Overall, I think that's all that happened that was worth talking about. In actuality, I did get a lot of questions about the whole Bryce and Zach thing. And I just feel like in all of Tyler's works, he's going to have something to do with someone that's a gay, more so gay than lesbian than a lesbian, but I guess that's just how he chooses to write, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But one thing that I am a true advocate of is consent, period. I don't care if it's a touch, if it's a kiss, especially if someone has already given you the fact that I am not interested, I do not want this, I do not give you consent to touch me in any way. You know what I'm saying? If someone does it, and I think sometimes too, the way that Tyler writes his characters, because if you think about Bryce is intelligent. He comes off as a nice guy. And I think sometimes too, especially when someone comes off as nice, I think as viewers, we tend to give them passes. Like we really tend to give them passes. And it's like, no, you are foul. You are wrong. I don't care how nice your character comes off. You did something without someone's consent, and I don't feel bad for Bryce at all. Whatever's going to happen between he and Zach, it is what it is. Maybe Zach can move forward, and you could tell this bothered Zach a lot because Angela wanted to come over with Bryce so that they can all have a conversation, and Zach wasn't comfortable with that. Like he just really wasn't comfortable to talk to Bryce in that moment. He wasn't ready for a face-to-face with him, and I think that if you are a man and this is something that happens to you, I don't think no one should make you feel any type of way. That is not, it's not right. Man or woman, it's just not right. And I had a lot of people, that felt like Zach was in the wrong, shockingly, that he could have handled it better. And my whole thing is, how would you handle someone who you are A, not attracted to, B, you've already told them that you're not interested in them, and then they take it upon themselves to kiss you? How would you respond? And I'm gonna leave it with that question. But overall, it was a good, 10 episodes. I did enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? I did. And so I guess we'll see what happens when season 2 comes out, whenever that comes out. So until next time, thank you guys for listening, and y'all be safe out there, and I will holler at y'all later.